Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today I'm going to be doing a Manhwa review. I think that's how you say it, or a Korean manga, but Manhwa? I think that's how you say it, but either way, I'm going to be doing a review on The Breaker Part 1. Now, before I dive deep into just talking about Part 1 of The Breaker, I have not seen any chapters into New Waves yet. I have not. I've only finished, The Breaker, and it's a total of 72 chapters. Well, I just want to say, if I mess up any names, I just want to say right now, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. As I said in my first impressions I did yesterday, like my impressions of Chapter 63. If I mess up names, please forgive me. I'm not that good when it comes to Korean names, especially these long names that are thrown into my face, and they're constantly changing from English sound, like Nine Arch Dragon, to I can't say it. I'm not even going to try. I'll look like a fool. But anyways, pretty much, if I mess up any names, I am very sorry, please forgive me, and yeah. Anyways, let's dive deep into this. Okay, the conclusion of this series, the Breaker Part 1. Of course, it didn't leave on a big conclusive ending, since technically it is Part 1 of the series, and I have to read Part 2. But for the most part, I love The Breaker. It was a perfect prologue, honestly. In my eyes, it felt like The Breaker Part 1 was a prologue to future things to come. It set up a lot. Definitely a lot of things. It built up our main character, Shiwon. It also built up Chunwo, and we got to see Shiho die in Chapter 63, which is, yeah, I already covered that in my last, that was just fucked up. But pretty much, we got a lot of setup at the end of The Breaker Part 1. Chapter 60 through 72 was nothing but setup for upcoming events, I'm guessing, for The Breaker New Waves, which I cannot wait to read after I'm done doing my Berserk review later tonight. But anyways, this overall series, I'm just going to say right now, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I started this series because of a couple of Chibits have been nagging me for a while now on the Chibit Facebook page, saying, you need to read The Breaker, you need to read The Breaker, and I've never technically read a manhwa. Like I said, hopefully I'm saying that right. I've never read a Korean manga before, and so I just wanted to dive into a series, just see how it is, change style, change some pace, and just see what the hubbub is about The Breaker. Because I've heard a lot of talk about this series for a long time, for many years now. Like a couple of years I've heard people talk about The Breaker. I've always seen it on manga sites that's completely freaking like always near the top, like #1 manga slot. I'm like, what the fuck is The Breaker? I've seen it a lot in these past couple of years, but I've never gotten around to reading it. Now, I never had nothing against it, I just never wanted to read it. Now that I've read it, from my personal perspective, it is definitely an amazing read. It is not the most groundbreaking series. I want to be straight on honest. It's not the most groundbreaking series I have ever read. But it is a very, very enticing and enjoyable read that kept hooking me. I kept coming back for more. At first, the first 10 to 15 chapters, I was like, okay, it's good. It just took a little bit for me to actually get into the series. I mean, until around chapter 20... that's when I really started getting hooked into The Breaker. That's when I really got hooked and I started really reading it really fast. And then hence, yeah, I read like 40 to 50 chapters yesterday. So yeah, I read a lot of The Breaker because it got me hooked when I got to that part. Like certain parts in around chapter 20. When you saw Shiwon just, use his powers, like he breaks the fucking concrete with his fist and he fights that one demonic looking dude with the weird nose and all that. I forget his exact name. But pretty much, I love that fight. I love that fight, and that's exactly what I loved seeing, and it got me entertained for the course of the rest of the series. Now, Shiwon, as a character, since he technically is our main male character, is he a good character? For the most part, I could see how a lot of people getting into the manga for the first time, myself included, you look at Shiwon as a pitiful disgrace of a character. I'm just going to be honest. He's very emo-ish type in the beginning of this manga. Like, he was very depressed, he was getting bullied. The standard character you would see, he was bullied. And he was at that point in Pinnacle of where he wanted to commit suicide, and it was thanks to his teacher, Chunwo, the Nine Arch Dragon, coming into his life accidentally, because of circumstances, coming to his life and pretty much helping him along the path of being like a martial artist. Now, with this entire series, I love the connection between Chunwo and Shiwon. I love that. I love the connection when I was reading through the entire manhwa of this series, from, start to the finish of chapter 72. chapter 69, I think it is, or chapter 68. It was the chapter where you saw Chunwo just renounce that Shiwon is no longer his disciple. And I, personally, as a reader, when I was reading that last night, I was pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What the hell? Why are you doing this? Like, why? I mean, let me explain why I was so upset with that scene, because after reading it, after reading a lot of those chapters in one day, a lot of information to think about, but I know for a fact the one key, significance with Shiwon's character was that he will not use his power for strength to just assert his power and beat the shit out of people because he is strong. He wanted power to protect himself and to protect the people he loved. But you had it to where Chunwo went completely against what Shiwon thought of him as. Like, Shiwon, through the course of the series, always thought of the Nine Arched Dragon as a good person. And in chapter 60 through till right up towards the end of chapter 72, we see the dark side of Chunwo. He goes off the deep end, activates the Black Heaven and Earth style technique, and he loses himself in an animal type rage. He's just in a fucking rage, and he doesn't break out of this until Shiwon actually gets in front of him and makes him stop. But what was really shocking with this entire event is what Chunwo did to Shiwon. Hit him like where his ki was, like his ki center, and broke his ki center to where he can no longer use martial arts type moves. He can no longer use ki or anything. And that was a very depressing conclusion of the Breaker. Now, I'm just going to be real here, and I want to be honest. I know for a fact, I haven't been spoiled, but I know for a fact because it's obvious. Since there is a part 2, Shiwon is our main character, unless it decides to switch perspectives to another character, maybe Chunwo. Shiwon is definitely going to get his ki back. His ki center is definitely probably going to get healed by some form of means. Since he is special, as we've seen his special regenerative abilities through the course of part 1, I know for a fact he will probably recover some form or fashion. Maybe the Sunwo clan will figure out a way to heal him. But overall, the conclusion of it, I know for a fact I should expect him to get back together. So that really, I'm not really worried about that. But the ending conclusion of part 1 leaves a big, big question. Did Chunwo have pity on his disciple, okay? He clearly tried to kill his disciple. Like, he tried to fucking kill him and denounced, Shiwon as his disciple and says he didn't care about it, he was a toy. He even said this in front of everybody. But Shiwon was knocked unconscious. But if he wouldn't have gotten help any sooner, he would have died. There's a big question left at chapter 72. Did Chunwo truly mean what he said? Or did he use that aggression, that anger, and that malice he showed in that chapter, just try to make it to where Shiwon could live a normal day life? Did he do what he did to Shiwon, to his disciple, to make him live an average, everyday life? Did he want him to be out of the martial arts world? Is that why he did that? That is the question we have to wonder. And I'm scared to find out maybe Chunwo will become the main antagonist of Breaker New Waves. It's possible. I really think that's possible, because maybe Shiwon will try to get his, ki center healed again. He'll try to get his power back, and he's probably going to hunt down the Nine Arched Dragon and go after the Black Forest Defense. I think that's what it's called. He's going to probably go after that and try to find out where his, master is. But that is my theory crafting for where I think the story is going to take. Now, for the most part, talking about the art of the Breaker Part 1, the art, I can't lie. The art looks very fucking good. It looks really good. I mean, the thumbnail I currently have probably on this video right now. That thumbnail, damn, is the artwork clean. Oh my god, it's so easy to color those thumbnails, man. It is so easy to color them. It looks just so clean. I love the way the panels freaking look. Oh my god, I am a massive fan of those panels. Usually when you see panels, they're kind of gritty looking a little bit, or the way the skin looks, but seeing the way the Breaker New Ways is, the panels are just so fucking nice and clean. It looks just so beautiful, and I'm a fan of that. I'm really a fan of that, and the art quality is very consistent through the course of the series, unless you get into the comedy moments, which of course, art quality will drop in those, entire scenes. But, for the most part, when shit goes down, especially Chapter 63, the art quality is pretty fucking badass. So, yeah, no denying the art quality. Now, would I recommend this to other people? For instance, Breaker the New Wave, since I haven't read it. Yeah, I would recommend. I mean, if you're into martial arts type manga, and you love martial arts, and you love, let's say, like fighting shonen or even fighting seinen, you most likely will like this series. It's a very good series, and I mean, it's got a good plot so far from what I see going on here. It's got a massive world to explore, the martial arts world. It's got all these different clans, and there's just so much more to learn from this series that has already been thrown out in the open, because we need to learn a lot more. Now, overall, a great series. What would I rate The Breaker Part 1? What would I truly rate it? Now, I'm just going to count out the ending, because I know for a fact there's going to be a Part 2, so I'm not even going to have the final notion of the ending weighed on any of the rating of The Breaker Part 1. Was it good? Was it fulfilling? Did it meet my needs as a reader when I read a series? Personally, yes. Slow start, but an amazing, epic middle, and an explosive ending of The Breaker Part 1. It got better and better as the chapters progressed. So personally, I would rate this series an 8.5, Part 1, 8.5 out of 10. It was good. It was a very enjoyable series, and I would definitely recommend it if anyone ever wants to find a fighting type manga like with martial arts. So this is going to conclude my review / impressions of Part 1 of The Breaker. I will see you guys in The Breaker New Waves. I plan on reviewing this series monthly or weekly, whatever the chapters come out. I don't know if they come out weekly or monthly. Please let me know, Chibits, if you know. But pretty much, yeah, I'm definitely going to try to catch up with the series. I'm definitely going to try to review it, but chapter by chapter, because, I mean, I like the fucking series, and I want to, talk about it. So, yeah, you all have a wonderful day or night, wherever you live. Please be safe, and Chibi out.